welcome to the Average Outdoors channel. I'm here on my dirty workbench and I've got a new toy. This, however, is not it. This is actually what the toy is intended to help. And that is my Glock 35. I use this for speed seal competitions, USPSA competitions, and I have a blast doing it. If you have not done a speed seal competition, it's always a great group of guys, super fun, great way to spend your weekend. And what it really entails is you, with your gun and a couple mags, and they'll set up a series of steel targets, the timer goes off, and you shoot those targets as fast as you can. Usually they're very close targets, they're not hard to hit targets, so you can go as slow, as fast as you want to go. But the really good guys go really fast. I am practicing still, I'm definitely no expert, but I have a lot of fun doing it. The problem is they can get really expensive really fast. Even reloading, shooting this gun is just not what I would call inexpensive. It's not prohibitively expensive, but it definitely is not cheap, even with reloading. I can reload my 40s for about 15 cents each. What happens is, though, there are times when you want to shoot, like right now the kid is asleep, I want to go out and shoot, and I don't want to burn through 100, 200 rounds of 40, but I still want to get that practice time in. There's a lot of different methods to do that. Now for this gun, since it has the same frame as a Glock 17, or a Glock 22, I bought a conversion kit by Advantage Arms, a 22 conversion kit to shoot it, and it sucked. It really did. Issues were you had to buy expensive 22 ammo. You had to use the CCI mini mags. I found that it did not run with the bulk ammo, and on top of that, it shot about a foot high above the front post at 20 yards. So even with the adjustable rear sight, I could not get that thing to hit. Now there are some tips and tricks you could do to try and modify it. Yes, but the price of $280 or whatever it was, I didn't want to have to modify it. I could have bought like a Ruger Mark II or something that would have been a significantly better gun, would have eaten all the ammo, and it would have shot right on target. So I was disappointed with the kit. I sold it off to another dude who is having great luck with it, but I did not like it for me. The other stuff that's out there is some of the laser guns where you can stick. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there, guys. There's that iPod one where you can put it on your iPhone and you can shoot at your iPhone with the laser and it shows you where you hit. That's great and all, but it's not as good as what I got. And that is this. Brand new. It is the first Glock licensed airsoft gun. What? Airsoft? You kidding me? No, I'm not. Airsoft gets a really bad rep in the shooting community. I don't know if they just take offense to kids with realistic looking guns. I don't know what that is, but I grew up playing Airsoft. I had an absolute blast doing it. The problem with Airsoft that I found with me is you need a really good group of guys. It's too easy to cheat in Airsoft. If you don't have a group of guys that's honest, it gets not fun very quickly. And two, you need a really good place to play. I didn't like playing Airsoft in the woods. I thought it was just a lot of hiding, camping out, roasting weenies, I called it. And I like the more fast-paced indoor stuff, or maybe close quarters, was way more fun for me. I didn't really like trekking through the woods at a snail's pace. But that aside, I've gotten out of Airsoft. I haven't played Airsoft in 10 years. But I do see the value in Airsoft as a training tool for your gun, especially when it's as cool as this one. This is brand spanking new. This literally just came out. In fact, if you were to order this, it's still on pre-order. Now, there are other Airsoft Glocks out there, and I won't really get into this because I'm going to take this review more of as a replacement, as a training aid for this, and not necessarily as a comparison to all the other Glock Airsoft guns out there. Now, I will say, because I've had Airsoft Glocks in the past, I've had many. I've had a Tokyo Marui, I've had a KWA, and if you don't know, these are just other companies that produce these guns. The problem is that Glock put lawsuits on all these companies, so to get them, they have to be imported from China or Taiwan, wherever they're made at, and that can be a sticky situation through customs if they decide to bust you. A lot of times, like on an old Airsoft mag, see the Glock trademark, they just would stamp it out so it could get through customs. A pain, but something you gotta deal with. Now Glock has officially licensed their own, and they are being sold in America, so you don't have to go through the nasty custom stuff. So let's get on to the review of the gun itself. Now, this gun, right away, feels better than all of the other Airsoft guns out there, for sure. Way better than KSC, KWA, way better than Tokyo Marui. I will say I have not owned a VFC or a Wii. Those two brands, I haven't had any experience with them. But this feels really good. Now, I will say this is a Gen 4, and then this is a Gen 3 Glock, and I've done, if you watch my very first video, I put on the removable stippling on here. It's just that spray paint with a little bit of sand texturing in there, so it gives you a good grip. But if you were to take off this slide, come on, you can remove this part, because I can tell you right now, no Airsoft gun is going to be able to replicate this weight. But you've just got the lower half, and then you do the same thing on this gun, which is just about as easy. Almost. There you go. Now you're comparing just these frames. And I don't have a scale with me. I'm not going to go out and measure everything out there. This is heavier. And as far as you try and squeeze them, you got that Glock squeeze on here. Look at that. The Airsoft one is actually stiffer than the real one. And as far as feel goes, the Airsoft one is identical. I mean, look, they are close. How cool is that, huh? Now you can see that this actually has a firing hammer, as opposed to a true striker fired. And the quality here, you've got some springs on here that aren't quite the same, but man, is that awesome. Is that cool? It is. The real steel one is super good. This one on the Airsoft one is so close that honestly, if I hand this to somebody who doesn't immediately think that this is an Airsoft, you just wouldn't know. You really wouldn't. These are so close. They feel great. So that is one thing that's awesome about this Airsoft gun. Now, if you pick this up, even if you remove, because this is all metal, if you remove this and you pick this up, I mean, this is 4 times, 5 times the weight of this, and you're just not going to get past that. So as a training tool, the lowers, the grip, they feel the exact same. They really do. They feel almost identical. You really couldn't tell the difference. Now, the other aspect where I was really concerned about this gun for a training purpose is the trigger. On a lot of the older Airsoft Glocks, the triggers were not even close to the real thing. They just weren't. And that was an issue for a training standpoint, because if you have a trigger that's significantly different than the real gun, it's just not going to be the same. It's not going to be as effective of a training tool. This one, however, is really, really close. So there it is, the reset. It's very glocky. It's not good. It's not a great trigger. But that's not what you want. You want it to simulate the Glock trigger as closely as possible. And it is super close. You know what's funny? It is actually lighter than the Glock trigger. Because this is stock. I haven't touched this one at all. But if you look at the creep, so here's a take up on that one. And then your take up on this one. Dang near the same. And then your break on this one. If you got some creep, you got that Glock mushiness. Take up, you've got some creak, you've got that Glock mushiness. And you can see this one is lighter, it takes less force. Now, I have no doubt that if I polished all the internals on this trigger, I could get it to being as good as this one. But the difference is, you're talking minutia. It's a very slight difference in the triggers. Enough so where this doesn't feel fake, it doesn't feel toyish, it feels really good. And that is an important aspect when considering this as a training tool for your Glock, because if it, like I said before, if it's way too heavy, if the reset is way off compared to the real thing, it just isn't going to be as effective. But it's really nice. I'm honestly surprised at how well they were to simulate the real one. Awesome. That part is so cool. Alright, how about recoil? Recoil is where it's just not even going to be close. It's not even close. This is still less than a 22. Anyone that says otherwise is completely wrong, because I have shot a 22 caliber conversion on this one, and I can tell you right now that it kicks more than this one. It definitely does. So recoil, that's where you're just not even going to come close to follow-up shots on this. You can shoot this gun so much faster than you can shoot the real one. Simply because there's just zero recoil on this. But that's how it is on all the other ones. This is, I'm not going to say it's either more or less than the other Glocks out there, because, you know, I'm going from memories from 10 years back. It feels like an airsoft gun. That's, you can't get around that. One thing I will say about the recoil on this is it does do enough to disrupt your sight picture. Albeit you can force it in there, but it's enough to where it's not just like one of those electric guns where there's zero recoil. There is recoil, and it will get your sight picture off, but it's a lot faster than this one for sure. So now that we've covered kind of the comparisons between this one and the real gun, let's talk about more of the airsoft qualities of this gun itself. Now, the magazine on this gun, I would give a little bit lower rating than the KWA magazines, namely because the floor plate is significantly more like the real one, right? This is the real one, it's painted. But it's way more realistic, and to fill it up with gas, you've got to do the old pull this back, which I hate doing, it's just fiddly, push this, and then you can expose your gas charging port. This is where propane or green gas goes in. If you're using propane, make sure you just to throw some silicone in there every once in a while. And fill it up. And then you're locked and loaded with gas. Now to fill it up with BBs, another thing that I don't understand why they didn't do this, there's no locking mechanism to keep the follower down for loading. On a KWA or Tokyo Marui, you'd throw this down and it would lock right there. And then when you're ready to get the spring tension back, you'd push on it and it would shoot forward. I don't know why they didn't do this. I think they really have a missed opportunity as to quality of this guy. Now as for BBs, I'm just going to load up with some of these guys right here. They're nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. The loading process goes something like this without a loading tool. That's another thing, little con about this gun. It doesn't come with a loading tool. If you got a KWA or a Tokyo Marui, they have a little ramp here that you stick on top of the follower, the feed lips I mean, and then you can take a speed loader and shove them right on in. Can you stick a speed loader on this? Yes, but you're going to have BBs shooting all to left and right. Keeping on with this mag, on the website, it says that this is a 20 round capacity magazine. However, I've been able to fit 24 in here without any strain whatsoever. So I don't know if they just undersold it or they didn't count right. I'm not sure, but I can definitely fit 24 in here. And the good thing is that so far, I've been shooting this on warm days. It's about 70 out there right now. The gas efficiency is pretty dang good. You can easily get your 24 shots off without having to refill your gas for the same load. Now, I don't think that you're going to be able to get 48 rounds out of a single charge with your gas. You might be able to if it's smoking hot out there and you're shooting really slowly, but if you're shooting fast, it's just not going to happen. There's your magazine all loaded up. Now in comparison to a real magazine, these are way heavier. Of course, these are plastic surrounded with a little sheet metal stamped sheet. This thing weighs absolutely nothing. This has your substance. So when you pick up the two guns, this gun's got some good weight to it. This gun is significantly heavier. When you load the mag in here, though, that's where the two weights become equal enough to be to make this feel real. Definitely. Now this is a Glock 34, or the 35-34 model, so it's got the extended slide, got like another inch on your barrel. It is a little bit heavier, but this is about the same weight as your Glock unloaded. Now if you load this with a full magazine, of course you're going to be way heavier, but I would say that these are very, very similar to that. So you can just imagine that this weight replicates this weight with 1 or 2 rounds in it. But it's good. It doesn't feel fake at all. Another thing, one of the big cons of this gun that I'm not super happy about was when I first got it, I put it in this holster. It's inside the waistband holster. And I was like, oh, that's not too bad. You can pull it out, no big deal. The slide you can see is got a little bit of wear on there, but I figured that's just the reduced spring tension on there. That reduced spring tension wasn't holding it in. You could wear this and it fits perfectly in this holster. And then I put in this, again, these are all real holsters for the Glock. And I put it in this guy and it went in. I don't want to do this again. It's a little tight, kind of the same way where you can push it in, it'll go all the way in. And then it friggin' sticks. And it was a devil to get out. So this one's kind of a no-go any more than this right here. And then if you're just setting it in there, fine. Do not stick it all the way in because you're just not gonna get it out. And what really sucks is that this is what I use, the holster that I use for speed steel competitions, USPSA competitions. You can see it's actually a little bit loose with the Glock, but I like it nice and loose because I can pull it out really fast without having too much tension. This guy, nope. It's not. I tried to force it in there, I tried to push it in. And what's happening is you can see where it's rubbing right here on the slide. Big con for me. Kind of sucks. Honestly, I wish I could use my same stuff. What I'm going to have to do when I practice is use this, and it's just going to sit on top like that. So you're going to be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches higher than what the normal Glock sits. Kind of a bummer, honestly. That really does suck. I'm wondering if I buy a Glock 20 or Glock 21 holster. I'm sure this would fit, but then I think it'd be a little bit looser because the Glock 20, Glock 21 are quite a bit beefier than these are. Again, with the magazines, you're the same story. The magazines are a little bit smaller. And I'll pull out my calipers here so we can get kind of some more exact measurements. I don't want to get too boring with the calipers. But if you take a look at this magazine size, we're there. If you take a look at this magazine size, man, it's close. It's really close. So when you look at it, it's about the same. What about this size here? Maybe that's where the difference lies. 1.3. Okay, there's some more difference. Then you go into 0.24. Either way, what happens is if you try and use one of these mag carriers, this has tension. This does not have any tension at all. That's less of a big deal, seeing as I don't plan on doing any speed reloads, because you can't drop these. They will break really fast. These are plastic feed lips. They'll snap right off if you try and drop them. Also, if they get dirty, it's not good to get dirt inside of that hair hole. So you don't drop these. You try and keep them clean. Unlike these, you can throw them in the dirt, the mud, the sand. It's not going to hurt it. So less of an issue than the gun holsters, but the magazine holsters still not going to work out for you. Now, I will say, you can tighten this. So maybe you could get it there. Potentially, if you tighten the shnikes out of this. Yeah, alright, there you go. Good thing they're adjustable tension, because now you're fine. I didn't think about that earlier. There you go. So now it works. That's fine. Okay, how about some other dimensions here? We'll go the slide. Exactly 1 inch on the Airsoft. Real Glock. Man, it's so close. It's just 1 inch as well, just a hair bit bigger there. What about with the frame? 1.34, 1.134. A little bit bigger on the Glock, 1.157. So you can see, guys, it's really, really close. So close. I'm not going to do all the measurements, but it kind of gives you a feel for how well they did with this gun right here. I really wish I had a trigger scale. I don't. Speaking of the trigger, coming back to that a little bit, the blade on this trigger, if you don't 100% depress that blade, it won't go. And it kind of gets caught up. You can almost, you see that? It's like you put pressure on it, put pressure, and then it clicks. The real one never does that. You never ever have to where you feel the blade catch up on the frame. Even if you come out to the side like this and just barely depress that blade, you're never going to get that. Versus this guy, so if you're using like the very tip of your finger, it's almost like you hit a wall at the very first, you break that wall, and then you break the second wall. That's going to bother me. I will come in here, and honestly, I don't need the blade. This is not a real gun. It's a safety that's irrelevant. So I'm probably going to either shave it down with a knife or Dremel or just take it out completely. I could probably just pop out that pin right there. This blade will come out. I might do that because honestly that is annoying. Because on the real gun, if I pushed it just like that, it's going to fire. You see, same indentation on my finger, same spot. And not that I always am shooting with that spot on my finger, but you still feel a hesitation when you do it where I do press. Don't like that. That needs to be fixed, and I will fix that. Quick talking point before I get out and shoot it. The magazine release on this is awesome. Now, some people are going to complain that it's not metal. Newsflash, guys, the real one's not metal either. It's plastic on both sides. So that doesn't bother me. Be like, oh, it's not like the guard or the Tokyo Marui, we can put a metal one in. Nobody cares. It's not going to wear out on you. The real one doesn't either. Let's go to the hop-up design. Though I'll talk about that when I'm shooting. I'm not as fan in comparison to the other Glocks that I've shot airsoft-wise. Last issue that I'm having with this gun right now, the bottom finish is excellent. The top finish is less than so. So I understand you're not going to go with a real like Tenefer or whatever they're using on the Glock. This is an excellent finish. It wears very well. I've probably got 4,000 rounds to this gun. It's seen a lot of holster wear. You can see how the finish on it still looks really nice. On this gun, just trying to flip it out of the holster a couple times, it like feels plastic. It really does. It's not plastic, it's metal because it's cold. But it's like a really thick, textured nylon, or it doesn't wear very well. And you can kind of come in here and, with just my fingernail, you can kind of put some marks on it. It's not wearing off completely, but it's not going to hold up well, and it looks plastic. It does. It's very interesting. It doesn't look metal. Same with the outer barrel. It's metal, all right. Oh, let me get in focus here. You know what? That actually feels better than the slide does. Probably because this is a different type of metal. I wouldn't be surprised if this were, you know, zinc and this is magnesium or aluminum or something. Let's go shoot it. One more thing. I'm sure you guys all know this. I had this left over in a bin out in the shop from a long time ago. This is a KWA pattern, KSC pattern Glock mag, and it most definitely does not work in here. I tried. It doesn't catch the magazine. It doesn't shoot anything. But if you look on this, you know I was talking about that hole? You don't have to pop off that thing, the floor plate, to get to the gas port. I also got some pros and cons, because if you drop the Airsoft one, let's see, you know, this one, you're not going to get dirt in your port, but at the same time, I don't drop them because they're fragile, so this is a detriment to me. It's just more time to reload it. For me, this is what it's all about. How awesome is this? Now, I have my shooting range over there, but it's a little bit closer to the kid's bedroom. I mean, it's not like dangerously close, of course, but it'd be loud if you're shooting a gun over there. He could potentially wake up. This is a little bit further away. I've got a bunch of targets. I can move around. I can bring them closer. I can put them back. Right now, we're sitting at about 15 yards away from the targets. Targets range in size from, 12 inches to 18 inches or so. That one on the ground to the left over there against the tree, that way, is a little bit bigger. It's probably about 2 feet by 1 feet. Anyways, this is awesome because I can practice my draw, I can practice my transitions without being expensive. The cost to shoot this thing is negligible. So I hope I'm in focus here. So I've got my barrel here. A lot of times you'll see that in Speed Steel or USPSA competitions. You gotta either hide behind them or run around them. You can see my Glock is in my holster, but it is not all the way in the holster. The draw is definitely higher. I'm not used to it because I'm used to screw grabbing down here and pulling up. This, I kind of got to get up here a bit. But usually start in a surrender position. The buzzer will go off. You draw and fire. Let's try it. And that right there is what I got the gun for. Is just to practice the draw and fire, because on that, it's the same. Of course, the recoil isn't the same, but for that first shot, the recoil doesn't have to be the same. See, that's where this gun, on the transitions, could I shoot that fast, a real gun? Maybe, but I'd have to practice it. On that, I couldn't just do it the first time. Definitely make sure you're wearing safety glasses because this is going to shoot back at you. Now you'll notice I put the gun in the holster. It racked the slide back a little bit. Loaded a double feed, so I'm not sure what that first round will do here. That fell out, so it's all good. Gotta be careful when I reinsert this to not rack another round. It's fun. That's what it's all about right there. Missed that one. There you go. Now, I said I was going to talk about the accuracy and the hop up later, so we'll do that now. What I remember about the old KWA and KSC Glocks is that you'd have a ring around here on the inside of where the chamber is, and they have this little tool. Kind of had the teeth that meshed in, and so while the gun was assembled, you take the tool in and you could twist it either way. Hello. Anyways, in a pinch, you could just do that with your multi-tool or screwdriver or your fingernail if you needed to. And you have to disassemble the gun. I like that better. This one, if you want to get to the hop up, you've got to take the gun apart, which it's not the end of the world, but it's not great either. And you can see right here, little focus for you, the hop up adjustment is this little wheel right here, so it's not the end of the world. One thing that's cool, they did a Gen 4 double captured spring. They didn't have to. This was just completely, it's just meant to look, and then you can see on the side they've got the fake spring. It's all plastic right there. Kind of a cool little touch. It definitely, although the real one, I'm pretty sure you just can pinch it like this and we go. You don't have to have the ring around there. But just a fun little thing. And disassemble it, I guess I can do that now. Again, it's got a metal arrow barrel. The inner barrel seems to be quality. I know a lot of people go with that black, that bowl something, but honestly, it's got a nice crowning on the barrel. I don't know if I'll pick up right now if it'll focus for you. It's got a good crowning on the barrel. I honestly would not replace this. Again, I'm not using this to go play Airsoft wars. I'm not doing that anymore. Haven't done that in a long time. And so the accuracy for me isn't quite as important. As long as at 15-20 yards I can hit an inch or a 12-inch gong, I'll be happy. Now I know for other people they're gonna want to see what the accuracy is. Sorry guys, my phone just wigged out right there. I got a call in and it was messing with the camera. anyways, the accuracy is not quite as important for me because, like I said, I'm using this at close range for speed, and at that distances, so far it's hitting the target every single time, even with some cheaper .2 BBs. If I step it up to .3 or .25 or something, I'm sure the accuracy could get a little bit tighter, but we'll see what it does with some .2. I'll put you guys up close to the target. It's a 12-inch round plate. I'll step back 20 yards, and I'll take 5 shots and see what kind of target it prints on there. Take it back. We're going to shoot at this target right here. It's probably about 18 by 12. Again, 20 yards back. I'm thinking that you'll be able to see the BB impacts on this a little bit more than you will on that shiny metal plate. 20-yard pace here. Alright guys, I'm 20 yards back right here, and I can tell you I will never be shooting this far, but understand if you're playing in a game, you totally would shoot this far and farther. I can tell you right now, the accuracy is pretty good. It's not anything like, oh my god, this is the most accurate airsoft I've ever had. You know, when I was custom building my rifles back in the day, I would sit at about 100 yards and try and hit a torso size, and could this do this? Not even close. Not even close. But at this distance, it will want to shoot high. So if you once you find where it shoots, wow, it's shooting really high all of a sudden. I'm actually missing. There it is. Okay, so it's consistent, but it's consistently very high. I'm sure that has to do with the hop up. Could I adjust it? Probably. I'd probably just rather get some heavier BBs and have that hop up. I'm pretty sure the hop up's all the way off, and it's still having a little bit too much on there. So I'm aiming about a foot below the target in order to hit it at 20 yards. But I can hit it every single time. I'm empty. So I know this is not the most traditional airsoft review, but that's because I'm not an airsofter anymore, and I'm coming this from a standpoint of a Speed Steel USPSA competitor, and I'm using this as a tool to increase my marksmanship and reduce my splits at the range. I've said it, and I've said it before, airsoft is a wonderful training tool when used in the right way. You have to understand its limitations. You can't expect it to perform like a .22 or your Glock, but when you're working for the draw, the mechanics, the reloading, it can really be beneficial, especially when shooting this is pricey. Even at 22, because you're having to buy those bloody CCI mini mags, and that was coming up like 10 cents a round. And I was reloading for you for 15 cents a round. It wasn't really economical. This guy's, it's like 10 bucks for 5,000 rounds. And propane is, when you're using it in this application, it's essentially free. It lasts forever. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I really would love to see airsoft become more in the mainstream gun community. There's a real negative connotation towards it, and I think it's generally because of the airsoft kids. It's seen as kind of a toy. I get it, but we need to look past that and see how it can help you. Guys, thanks for watching. Take care.